Hi guys, and welcome to Chapter 10, The Presidency, Road to the White House. So what this chapter discusses is the President of the United States qualifications and the steps that the President took to get there. It's going to discuss the different qualities and qualifications that should be possessed by a president, the constitutional qualifications that have to be possessed for a human being in order for them to become President of the United States, and basically the steps that they have to go through the process to get there. By the end of this chapter, you guys should be able to give a basic description of what a presidential candidate goes through when trying to be elected to the highest office in the United States, which is that of the presidency. So let's start off with section 1. Remember guys, take notes. Section 1 talks about the presidential qualities. Basically, the president is the most important person in government. The presidency is one of the most important power centers of our government. He's the go-to person. He's the commander-in-chief. He's the person that everyone looks at when something is right or wrong. He represents the United States of America. He is the face of every one of us. The presidency has experienced changes, and what I mean by changes, I'm talking about changes to the office in the sense of there are times when the president was more powerful than Congress. There are times when Congress was more powerful than the president. There are times when the president wasn't looked at it at all. There are times when he wasn't listened to. There were times when he was just a puppet on a string. Okay. His duties, the way that he felt about certain things, the way that he represented himself, all of these things changed throughout the years. But one thing has remained consistent. The president is still the one person that has the most powerful office in the land. He is the most powerful person in the country. Very important to know that. The qualities of president are listed in the Constitution. The qualifications that a person has to have to become President of the United States is listed in Article 2, Section 1 of the Constitution. It says that no person except a natural-born citizen shall be eligible to the office of president. Neither shall any person be eligible to that office who shall not have attained to the age of 35 years and been 14 years a resident within the United States. So what does that mean? That means that in order to be a president of the United States, you have to be one, a natural-born citizen. You have to be born on American soil. You cannot be born in any other country. You have to be born in the United States of America in order to be president of the United States. That's the first. The second, you must be 35 years of age. You have to be at least 35 years old. Interestingly enough, they chose this age because they felt at the age of 35, a person is more mature, a person is more loyal, and a person has an understanding of their American heritage. Basically what it means to be an American citizen. Thirdly, you must be a resident of the United States for 14 years. 14 consecutive years. Back to back. You have to live in the United States. It's okay for you to move out of the country, but when you come back, you have to be here for at least 14 years before you can serve in the office of president. So throughout the years, these qualifications have made different, and I'm going to say men because we have yet to have a female president. Notice that it doesn't say anything about gender. So there's nothing in the Constitution that stipulates that you cannot be a woman and hold this office. You very well can be. But so far we've only had men. It says, though these qualifications make the office accessible, the two main avenues to the White House seem to be a successful military career, like that of Washington, Jackson, and Grant, and entrance through lower level politics. So what I mean by this is that these are the two main avenues, the two main ways that the last presidents that we have had in office have became presidents. They were either in the military and ran for office that way, or they were in some level of politics in the sense of governors, senators, things of that nature, also representatives. There were very many exceptions to that rule. One of the most famous people who was became president of the United States and was not very successful in lower level politics was Abraham Lincoln. Very important to know that he was definitely an exception. He was born into poverty. He really didn't have that Ivy League education. He was just a good man who had great ideas. He tried to get into politics several times, but he was not successful at it. So he was definitely He was definitely an exception to that. Other exceptions were Ronald Reagan. Ronald Reagan was an actor, and he was a voice radio commentator. He also became president. George Bush was a businessman and part owner of the Texas Rangers. Both Reagan and Bush were governors before being elected president. So these are all exceptions, but the most famous of those is Abraham Lincoln. Let's see how much you are paying attention now. Try to answer these questions without using your notes. Question number 1. What are the 3 qualifications stated in the Constitution that you need to be President of the United States of America? Question number 2. What are the 2 main avenues that lead to the presidency? Who were the exceptions? Finally, true or false, the president is the most powerful person in the country. Hopefully you guys were able to answer these questions without looking back. Make sure that you go over your notes and be prepared for class on tomorrow.